It's been a little bit of a long, I don't know, a hiatus, I guess we've been on. What do you think?
Strange journey it's been.
It's always a strange journey. Anyway, so want to welcome everyone. We are two cantors that have virtually walked into a bar. We're this close. I think we're going to get back to our original
screen by screen, side by side.
Okay, but I am Cantor Matt Axelrod from Scotch Plains, New Jersey. I am here with the gregarious.
Okay.
I think I've used that one before. I'm not sure.
I am Cantor Penny Myers from Buffalo, New York.
And you're outdoors. You're outdoors.
I am. So can I'm gonna just.
No, this is gonna work. This is crazy. Go ahead. Give it a shot.
Okay. First of all,
I'd like to apologize to all of our viewers. We don't know what's going to happen here.
That's right.
Going off script.
Total. Yes, because
we never do that.
So we are approaching the end of our holiday of Sukkot, and that's our sukkah.
Yes.
And I'm in our sukkah because it's not raining.
Right.
It's not storing.
It's not snoring.
It's snowing. It's sunny, but it's just a hair windy. So I have stalks of corn hanging above me. Actually, I gotta show you this.
You look very agrarian over there. Oh my!
I gotta show you this. It's like I could get stabbed any second.
Oh my! It's like the sword of Damocles over your head.
It's exactly where my husband puts it.
Yes. Well, ironically enough, it looks like a beautiful sort of autumnal day up there in Buffalo. I'm here in the Garden State in New Jersey, and the weather is kind of like cloudy and not very nice at all. So Buffalo wins this time. But
wins every time.
No, just this hour.
Whatever. We just don't win against
whatever.
All right.
Okay. So, we'd like to raise a toast to our loyal. Raise a toast to our loyal viewership. Without you, we would just be a couple people.
We would just be actually doing this for ourselves.
Which is not really the worst idea in the world. So, Penny, today I thought we would talk about, now we've talked a little bit before about the topic of teaching bar and bat mitzvah, teaching b'nai mitzvah students, but I thought we would take this opportunity, give it a little bit of a fresh perspective, because we have a sponsor, kind of, sort of.
Are you really doing this? You're really.
It's not really a
shameless.
Sponsor. I know, but
shameless.
but if not me here now, when and who?
Me.
Because I can do this as much as I want. So
Matt, tell me
what? What?
Since this is our Chag HaSukkot Sameach,
it is yeah.
Yes, it is our joyous season. That's right. For our non-Hebraic,
it's our season of joy because Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are over.
Hallelujah!
And when all of these holidays of this month in Tishrei are over, it'll be very
baby,
wonderful. Best Jewish month of the calendar.
And it is the most amazing month of the calendar because it's Cheshvan. And it's also an amazing month because, we're going to do in a few days, raising the roof on the sukkah.
Yeah.
You apparently have raised the bar.
Wow.
You like that, don't you?
Look at you.
I was not letting you kind of shamelessly plug.
So this special episode of the podcast is brought to you by Raising the Bar Mitzvah, my latest book, which has just been out the past couple months, and
it's actually not terrible.
Wow, you should write for Publishers Weekly. Actually, not terrible, says Cantor Penny Myers.
That's right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You know what? I have to tell you. It was a difficult book to write.
Are you serious?
Totally serious. It was.
Why?
Because what I wrote goes against much of what I and probably most of our colleagues spend most of our time doing.
Oh my God, do we ever? I just mute every now and again when I hear something loud. So I don't want the wind to be overbearing because it is a little windy here.
I don't hear
Um,
any wind.
oh, really? It's not even just from me being an airhead?
Oh.
Oh, I can't believe you haven't even ripped on Buffalo yet.
No,
Anyway,
no, it's old.
but Matt, this book,
Yeah.
I gotta say,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
L'chaim to the book. L'chaim to Mishal Makoy Shamayim.
Available at all booksellers, Amazon, or support independent bookstores, which is very important. And soft cover, and there's a hardcover version too, but it's so expensive you wouldn't want to buy it.
Why is it in hardcover?
It's for like libraries and institutions and things like that, but nice hardcover.
It should be. So you're saying that this should be in the institutions?
Yes, absolutely, along with the author. Okay, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I mean, I want to talk about this book for a few minutes.
I want you to.
I know you do.
Talk amongst yourselves.
You just drink. So, folks, if you're out there in Zoom land at two Cantors walk into of our land, you got to understand anything that Matt writes, I hear his voice in my head.
Oh,
Therefore,
yeah.
I'm not past chapter 2.
Yeah, it's a problem. Those who know me and they read all the, the stuff I write.
You speak.
I write in my voice.
Yes, that's right. But there was one part here which I have to quote.
Uh-oh.
Because it's actually something that so many students have said to me, or parents. Actually, I don't even remember where it was in the book, but it was talking about hearing the cantor's voice coming from your child's bedroom, and you make a joke like, tongue in cheek about, first year cantors, don't say that. But I got to tell you, if I had a nickel for every time a family member, a sibling said to me, oh my gosh, it was like you were living with us, which in and of itself is kind of creepy.
So but, it's true. So first of all, one technical thing, and everyone here is listening as we're going on solving the problem. Penny, it looks like you have a UFO landing on the roof of your sukkah. Can you reposition yourself? You're getting a weird sun glare while we're talking. Okay. So Penny, you were talking about the joke I made about voices, about recordings, and kids play my recordings, they play everyone's recordings in their bedrooms, and I made a funny joke that that parents hear my voice coming from all their kids' bedroom, and that the point I was making is I was talking about the fact that we spend much of our time or much of our prep for B'nai Mitzvah kids making and preparing recordings and providing recordings. If you're of a certain age, the technology you use for recordings, is whatever it is. I grew up with cassette tapes.
Wait, what's a cassette tape?
Exactly.
No, I had a cassette tape.
Some of our really old colleagues, grew up with a reel-to-reel, or like, they made records or something. So after
we had some wardrobe,
after we had some live technical difficulties, Penny is outdoors, and apparently the sun is orbiting around the sun and changing position, and it's not cooperating with our broadcast. But
for just a minute.
For just a minute. So until the next degree of like second of longitude happens, maybe we can get this thought in. So we spend so much time of our teaching B'nai Mitzvah, providing
of our existence.
Right. So let me ask you a rhetorical question, Penny, and anyone listening to us right now.
Does that mean I have to answer?
Yeah, you have to answer. Okay, so it's not a rhetorical question, it's a question. What is, when you have a new bar or bat mitzvah student, what's your goal? What, like, you're start at point A, you're done at the bar bat mitzvah at point B, whatever. What is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish?
Well, I want to put my first objective and goal with any bar and bat mitzvah kid, whether adult or child, is to reassure them that I don't expect them to know anything or everything. And also to put them at ease, especially given a language that they're not hearing in their daily lives all the time. But I do have a saying,
Mhm.
practice makes prepared.
Mhm.
And I also say to my students, I only have two expectations. You have to make mistakes and you have to make progress. I'm more about the journey of getting to the date of the bar bat mitzvah than I am about what occurs on that day.
Okay, so I'm glad you finished your answer with that last sentence, because before you were talking not about your goals, you were really talking about your methods and how you relate and how you get to the goal.
Yeah.
But I'm asking, like, if you could.
Wait, so I didn't answer your question? Is that what?
So you did a little bit, but like, let's do it this way. If you could just snap your fingers.
Dumbing it down for me?
If you could snap your fingers and you're like, okay, you're there and you finished it, and the bar bat mitzvah is over, and you snapped your fingers and you did it. What did you do? What happened? What did you accomplish? What did you aim to accomplish? Best case scenario.
Best case scenario,
Mhm.
a comfort level of being an active participant in a congregational and synagogue setting, as well as a comfort level in their own Jewish identity moving forward, instilling those seeds. It's not just like the day and that's it.
Okay, so that's a great answer. I mean, I heartily approve of that answer. And I think that would resonate.
That's why I'm a good educator.
Hey, absolutely, and a good communicator. And I think that answer.
I talk real good.
You do. You use words good. Yeah. That answer would probably resonate very well with a lot of our colleagues.
Yeah.
So I guess then the question is, everything we do for bar mitzvah is pretty much the same, generally speaking.
Yeah.
You know, whatever high percentage amount of the time. It's the same path. It's the same preparation. It's the same set of skills. Usually, especially in the conservative world, and you know, your experience may vary, Penny, but we do Haftorah.
Yes.
And we teach, you know, whatever certain pages out of the Siddur, the prayers, that whatever is accepted in that congregation that usually the kid learns. And we want them, we say, well, we want you to learn how to do this because it's important for the reasons that Penny just said. It's important. But that's not really what happens, because we make recordings, right? And what do the kids do? If the kids do everything we want them to do, and they spend all the time practicing we want them to practice, what do?
Well, they end up, I mean, it's only natural physiologically as well as psychologically and educationally that if they practice every day, it's going to become rote. It's going to become memorized, which can be a blessing and a curse. Because if you teach certain, not Torah, not Haftorah, certain brachot or tefillot that are memorized, are instilled so deeply, that allows a certain part of their neshama to open up with kavanah when approaching that prayer blessing. For example, Shema. When you connect that and teach that in a way that something like the Shema prayer, which is the foundation of Judaism and our declaration as God is one, that it allows that flexibility to incorporate kavanah to be married with the keva, with the text.
Right. So, I mean, I love everything you're saying.
But it doesn't happen all the time.
Right. But, and of course, I agree 100% with what you're saying. And when you take the time to teach the kids, I mean, you have to start, I mean, we know what the Shema means, but, we have to teach kids what it is, and you have to give them a context and so forth. And that's wonderful. Every minute that we spend teaching something like that, which is great, is one less minute that we spend teaching Haftorah, practicing tropes,
right?
Having, if the kids have to learn pages, 1 through 100, then we have to get through 100 pages, and
it's a weird way of teaching to the test.
It's like you quoted the book. I have a whole section on teaching to the test.
It's almost like I have the book.
Almost. Thank you for support. And you can have it too by going online and ordering.
That's right. And if you're going to go on Amazon, support the Cantors Assembly,
Right.
please.
Right. Or even better, buy from an independent bookstore. They need
Or
the
buy
book.
from Matt.
Right. Or buy
Maybe
from me.
we'll
and-
sign you a copy. Actually, wait, our viewers should know. I actually had a hard copy before Matt did.
That's right. That's right.
I was like,
that's right.
look what I got.
My own copies were delayed in the shipment in the mail. So, but I finally got my
I
copy.
know who's really important in
Right.
this relationship here.
So why do you think that we, generally speaking, just teach the same thing to the same kids? All of our kids have different, interests and skills, and some of them sing unbelievably and some of them not so
Most of
much.
them, yeah.
And of course any kid can sing. I have no problem with that, but why do we insist that they stand in front of a congregation and do it the exact same way as everybody else, when some are going to be better and some are not going to be as good,
Right.
and some aren't going to get all the material? And
I think that I know I'm breaking a lot of hearts out right now of our colleagues, rabbinic and Cantors.
you're a heartbreaker, Penny.
Yeah, is that I'm also drink done or
Yeah, you need another one. Get the bartender.
I think the process and the expectations writ large are so deeply antiquated
Mhm.
and are not applicable anymore.
And that is a large part of the point that I make, that we are teaching a generations old, I mean, going back to our grandparents, great grandparents, and further, we're teaching the same model.
Yeah.
Everything has moved on around us, but except for that. And then I pose in the book, I pose other open questions like, well, why does it have to be age 13? Age 13 made sense once upon a time.
Well,
Now maybe
tell our viewership why age 13 in one day for those who identify as male, and why age 12 and a half in one day for those who identify as female.
There are different origins of it. Nothing is written in halachic stone. It's all just very strong minhag, which is taken on the force of, like, this is just the way we do it. But it goes back in Pirkei Avot, which is a body of literature, ethics of our fathers, and they set ages for when certain things would be done. When you're, I don't remember what it is, 5 or 6, you open up the text for the first time, and when you're and when you're, you get married at a certain age, and you're elderly at a certain age.
You cut your hair, right?
Yeah,
When you're, light candles,
right. So 13 was sort of given as the age of maturity, is when you would take on the rituals and so forth. And also, I sort of point out as well that there was a basis biologically that, when bodies are changing, we can say the P word, puberty. When bodies are changing, around that age, that certainly, made a little bit of sense to say, okay, well, then the kid is, is reaching the age of maturity, and is now eligible to be counted as Jewish adults. But that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Do you talk about that with your students? Not essentially going through puberty.
God, no.
Well, can I share with you? I'd like to share with everybody.
All right.
Just these kids come in and I know, but I'm out and I'm not going inside.
Mm-hmm.
These kids are frightened when they first start. They are frightened, no matter of their background, no matter of their skill set. All they can think about is not taking it a piece at a time, but they think about that one day. And it's so much pressure. Mm-hmm. And I remind the kids as a joke, well, nothing could be much more of a hazing ritual than bar bat mitzvah, because, you're 12 or 13 or 14, as was my case. You're going through a lot of changes in your school. You're going through a lot of changes in sports and in growth. Nothing like a good Jewish ritual to highlight all of the things that you feel so insecure about.
It's
You know,
it's not only a questionable time to do it, it's the worst possible
I
time to
know
do it. I
exactly.
mean,
I
it,
agree with you. I
it's
agree.
like a practical joke that nobody got the joke and now we're stuck with it.
It's like hazing.
Yeah.
That's what I say. It's hazing. And
Right.
then, you know, but I do believe, Matt, I do believe that B'nai Mitzvah, bar or bat mitzvah or B mitzvah, there's a new initiative
Mhm.
happening. I do believe that it is a very crucial, pivotal, like tipping point with our kids right now, as it stands, where you know our programs usually are, with their Jewish feeling um, good about their Jewish identity. Whereas if you have a really good cantor like you or myself, you know, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel connected to the shul. You're going to feel connected to us individually. You're going to feel connected to, you know, Judaism and God.
But what is you know, anecdotally, I hear from, you know, people our age, our generation, and they recount their own experiences going through B'nai Mitzvah. And, you know, there was nothing traumatic about it. It was just, you know,
Oh, please, it was
they just had to
hell.
they just had to get through it. But they remember having, you know, being miserable because they had to memorize this body of stuff.
Yeah.
And they did. They did whatever it is they needed to do, but they didn't enjoy it. They knew they had to get it done. They, you know, got
And that's
yelled
the
at by their
goal.
parents to
Yeah,
practice it.
of course.
Okay, but then they got through it, and now all they remember is, okay, you know, I had to learn a Haftorah. Do you remember the Haftorah? No. You remember the Parsha? I think I remember the Parsha. I can do the first couple words. You know,
But
that
do you care about that? Do you Matt Axelrod, do you care if when they're our age,
Mhm.
if they actually remember their parsha?
No, not per se, but that's the point of the book, is that we're focusing
Right.
on the wrong things.
Right.
What
Correct.
so the whole thing about forming a connection. Yes, that's what we're looking, that's one of the goals, I would assume, that we're all thinking about for our kids, to form a connection, to gain some kind of knowledge
Right.
about
Foundation.
something, right? Foundation, or to you know, and also, yes, a ritual is all about crossing a threshold to say, you know, with whatever the bar mitzvah is, on this side is one thing, and then you cross a threshold and you've undergone a change. My whole body of questions is, well, what does that threshold have to look like? When does it have to happen? And why does it have to be the exact same threshold for every single kid? And these
Exactly.
are, they can be very simple questions, or they can be earth-shattering, you know, how dare you even ask the questions,
Well,
you
exactly.
know.
That's why I preface what I said earlier with, I'm breaking a lot of rabbis and cantors' hearts by
So
saying,
I want to ask you, because Penny, you work in the Reform movement, and
I did work in the
you
reform
did the
movement.
work in the Reform movement, but you have more experience in that movement. I have none. My whole career is conservative. So I want to ask you, you obviously must be familiar with the process of confirmation.
Yes.
Okay, so would you walk me through exactly what is confirmation, and how does it differ or augment the process of becoming B'nai Mitzvah?
So, okay, so confirmation is a relatively new ritual compared to like all of our other rituals we have in Judaism. And it is typically, you know, after your bar bat mitzvah, you continue your studies through what we call Hebrew high school or through independent learning. And it's basically the 10th grade year. So grade 10, you know, is when the service is held. And it's actually typically held at Shavuos because
Right.
we're
See,
we're,
and it's also, it just fits in the schedule better. It's the end of the school year.
but it's a way of post bar and bat mitzvah age children, because they're still
They're
kids,
still children.
to affirm or reaffirm, to take, you know, to take that responsibility of the next step. While a B'nai Mitzvah class could be 35, 45 students, a confirmation class on a good year could be a fifth of that. and it's their way of, it's their it's the kids' way of taking that next step of responsibility and ownership.
All right.
And go ahead.
So a couple things. First of all, you just said that it's, the size of the class is obviously significantly smaller. That's part of the very problem, is that most people, of course, this, view B'nai Mitzvah as the end, teaching the test. They did it. Only the hardy smaller number will stick around for the next step, and confirmation or not, many of our synagogues have, some kind of Hebrew high school program or post
Right.
educate. So, but of course, not everybody stays for that. It's not considered mandatory as much as religious school is considered mandatory. But the other question is, what if you lived in a parallel universe that had no B'nai Mitzvah at all? There was no such thing. And the kids just did confirmation. They were expected to, whether religious school, whatever, but they were expected to come do a body of learning of something and then have some kind of concluding ceremony at age 15, 16.
Actually, I would actually push it to maybe senior year.
Even better. So yeah, because everything's on the table. So why not? But like,
I think
when you say it builds on B'nai Mitzvah, does it really?
It does, in a sense, because like the kids who would be confirmands or confirmation candidates, it rebuilds. I mean, a lot of the kids who chose to extend on into confirmation did it because it was the only time they would see their friends who went to other schools, other high schools.
So it's a social. There's a social aspect built into it.
That's right. But there's also
seems you can accomplish a lot of that without, you can do youth groups, and
yes, but youth group is not for everybody. Just like I find that the confirmation kids were not always the same kids as the ones in the youth group.
Right.
And so it was a way for them to also, they had much more latitude to craft the confirmation service, which was fascinating to see 15-year-olds take ownership of certain rubrics of
I'm glad you said that, because
wait a second.
Okay.
Did you write a book?
I did.
A third book?
A third book. All my other books are on Amazon. So that's exactly it. Penny, you've hit the nail on. You got there organically. So
and I'm only on chapter 2.
Okay, but you'll get there.
Right.
So the whole point is that if we allow kids, and if they're a certain age, then obviously kids in association with their families and their parents, to craft what draws them in and is important to them on their own with our help. We're advisors.
Right. It's like independent study in a sense.
Right. Right now, everything is top down. We're in charge. We're the clergy. We know what's best for you. Here's what you have to learn. Do it.
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I'm putting that out there right now. Okay. I do not agree with that pedagogy or philosophy.
Okay.
I know I'm going to get a lot of criticism about what I'm about to say.
Well, no more than me. I put all these thoughts in writing and put it out there. I went there.
You totally did. But I mean, I think that bar and bat mitzvah is, I think out of all of the wonderful out of all of our life cycle and or rituals, I think the way it's antiquated, it really is. It's basically the same formula as like how synagogues have been run for decades and decades and decades. It's not, I don't think it's, as it currently stands, I don't think it's healthy. I think that there's something to be said, not about choosing, like, remember those books, Choose Your Own Adventure?
Sure. I think B'nai Mitzvah should very much be Choose Your Own Adventure. In fact, that might have been a good title. I should have used that as a title.
That should be the title for this podcast.
Raising the Bar Mitzvah, Choose Your Own Adventure.
Because think about it. I mean, there are so many aspects of Judaism.
Can I hold this thing up one more time in front of the camera?
I'm gonna talk, but I'm gonna talk.
Wait, I can still see your face, Penny. Move the book. Okay, no.
I think that, but I think that if we're gonna do a cookie cutter model of Judaism, I think that we're killing Judaism. I think that we have to allow amorphism, but I think that it would be in our best interest as a religion to actually tap into the what people want.
So I'm just wondering, play devil's advocate for a second and pretend, there you go. And pretend you're, some imaginary colleague or colleagues or whatever, rabbis and cantors. What case can you make to say, hey, Axelrod is just, he's crazy. This is the model we have. I know that. And, this is the model we have. It's been working for generations and
But has it been? I can't even, you can't even finish that sentence because it hasn't been working for
generations. By the way, you don't even realize you're like quoting directly from my book. Like you're actually quoting like the actual sentences. You didn't even read that part yet, but you'll get to it and you'll see. You'll be like, oh, I just said that.
It's not working. It's not working. It's just not.
Are we talking ourselves out of our profession? Are we talking ourselves out of our living to say we don't need cantors anymore? We don't need rabbis. You don't even need synagogue membership anymore. Who says you need a service? You just go and have an experience.
No, I don't believe that at all. I think that becoming bar or bat mitzvah, I think, is a very important ritual, but it need not fulfill the wants and needs of unassimilated Jews of the turn of the century, not this century, but turn of the 20th century, turn of the 19th century. It need not be that. And that's what it is. I mean, look,
I would like, as a modest first step, which can be done anytime now, is to make variations in what the kids do, don't do, choose to do. I would like to make that so commonplace that when people, regular congregants or guests, walk into a synagogue at a bar and bat mitzvah, they have no idea what to expect.
Well, that's just it.
I mean, wouldn't it be nice for a member of a conservative congregation to walk in and they're like, oh, there's a bar mitzvah this week. Oh, and they walk in, they have no idea what to expect. The kid could be the next, cantor in 10 years and they sound incredible, or they have, just very limited synagogue skills that we seem to drill over and over again. But, they're doing something, they're reciting something that they composed, or they're going to discuss something, or they are going to present a project, or they have, certain guests that they want to highlight or something.
Well, that's why I think that our job is actually not obsolete, because of the role of the Chazan. We have a unique ability, however, which musically, socially, we're skilled and taught in a way. Most of our cantors are skilled in such a way, but we are able to shape it like as we see that would meet the needs of the student, whether adult or young.
And I used the term before, but I think it really fits here, teacher, but advisor. Guide. And to kind of start closing the discussion a little bit, that one of the models, one of the metaphors I used for the whole idea of writing that book is that it's like a guidebook. It's like a travel guide. A travel guidebook doesn't tell you every single place you can possibly see and how to get there. And it tells you, it highlights certain places. It hopefully instills interest of, I might want to go off the beaten path and see something. And it's sort of a suggestion. It's sort of whet the appetite. And this, what I hopefully have written is to stimulate thought about different ways that families and kids, and I'm not just saying kids, I'm saying families, because it's we
Has
we
to
sort
be
of
legitimate.
we sort of de-emphasize the fact that this should be a family process opposed to dropping your kids off at lessons, having them memorize some stuff, and then coming, that this is a whole experiential thing. We really only touched the
I know.
surface a little bit, but it's
I think you're onto something. I mean,
I hope so, and I hope, yeah.
Look, Matt, let's face it, there is so much comfort in the familiar and what we do, and the familiarity of the ritual as it has been.
Well, it's inertia.
Denied.
It's inertia. I mean, we've always done it. It's path of least resistance.
I think we need to adapt. I think
Yeah.
I think Torah needs to adapt.
I think it's food for thought, and I think in general, you're saying, and I certainly agree, is I think we can do better. I think we're doing. I think we're doing good to okay now in most cases, because we're obviously surviving.
Well,
but
see, I disagree. We're doing fine.
I think we're functioning. But I think we can definitely do better, and we can be creative in that.
Yes.
Bar mitzvah b'nai mitzvah need not be the third rail of Jewish life. Touch it and you die. This is the one thing. Why not? I mean, there's nothing that says that a kid has to have this ceremony, this defined, that we all know what we're picturing in our head at age 13, and it must be like that, exactly like this, and they have to learn and they have to do, and if they do all this, great. If they do a little bit, that's okay too, but they didn't do as good as the other kid who did this much. One could talk about this topic forever and ever. It's just, we've just kind of touched on certain points, but it is, it's what most of us Jewish professionals, synagogue professionals, spend a huge percentage of our time doing. I mean, I spent 90% of my time in cantorial school learning arcane tunes that I will never and have never sung in my life. And I had to teach myself how to teach kids and how to teach b'nai mitzvah. I think that's probably very different now than when I was in school, but we will likely find that out. Don't want to give away any surprises, but hopefully on our next or very soon to be future episode, we're going to touch on that in a big way. So stay tuned.
Yes, that is a good teaser. Because
yeah. So, but don't want to give it away. But in the meantime, we like to thank Raising the Bar Mitzvah, Reimagining What Our Kids Learn, for sponsoring this episode of the podcast.
Oh, is it really?
Sure. It's my Zoom link. So yeah.
Will it buy us drinks?
It will not.
Next time the drinks are not on the book, like
no, but yeah. So it functions when you're done reading. It makes a great coaster, and then drinks are on me, literally. Anyway, so we'd like to thank you for joining us. As always, maybe we can get together in person someday. Maybe we can sit at an actual bar, and if we do, and you happen to join us, please come in. And
the drinks are on us.
Wait, that was awful because your drink was empty. Let's try that again. The drinks are on
us.